What's up, everybody? Good morning. All right, welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Batter's Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all. Appreciate y'all for being here with us. Tigers have 3 preseason All-Americans. Probably no great surprise. Harold Perkins, first team preseason All-America. Wingo and Malik Nabers, both second team. You know what's interesting is, and I did mention it on AFR yesterday for those that might have heard it, but Malik Nabers led the SEC in receptions last year and was second in receiving yards. It is really, really surprising how much I think we and nationally people undervalue Malik Nabers. I mean, led the SEC in receptions and was second in receiving yards, and he doesn't really get talked about when people discuss the best receivers in the country. And it's a little odd to say because he's a second team preseason All-American, but I mean, he's every bit as good as the kids at Ohio State, the players at Ohio State, and who I know Marvin Harrison's going to get a ton of run and conversation, all that stuff. But man, like, I'm not so sure, that, I mean, here were your first team receivers: Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunze from Washington, and Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State. So the 2 guys from Ohio State and the kid from Washington. Hard to argue against any of them, right? I mean, they're all really good players, but I don't know. I like the LSU guy, but I'm biased. So anyway, preseason All-American teams came out yesterday. We can talk about that if you'd like. The Baltimore Ravens have lost a preseason game, first time in 7 years. And hat tip, Jimmy Ott, if you listen to Otter Locks, he called a shot. He picked Washington to beat the Baltimore Ravens as his Otter Lock last night. So, I mean, call your shot the first time in 7 years to have the Ravens lose a preseason game. And if you watched it, it was borderline ridiculous to see the teams near the end of the game. You had Jake Fromm, quarterback in Washington, late in that game, leading the game-winning drive. They kicked a field goal with 12 seconds left or whatever it was. But it was crazy. Watching them, calling timeouts and asking for reviews, and like at the end of a preseason game, when most are just trying to like get to the finish line, get out of there. They're like, Washington was actively trying to win, and Baltimore was actively trying to not let them win. It was wild. Anyway, all right, so fire away. Saints are back on the practice field today as they get ready for their 3rd preseason game. And we talk LSU, anything you want. Jay Johnson yesterday introduced Nate Yeski and Terry Rooney. It was really good to see Terry. When Terry Rooney was at LSU prior, he was at Notre Dame with Paul Maneri, and when Paul got the LSU job, he brought Terry with him as his pitching coach. So he was a pitching coach for LSU the first 2 years. And I just, 07, 08 seasons. And that fall of 07, or excuse me, the spring of 07 was when May of 07 is when I started in sports talk radio. So I'm flattered that Terry even remembered who it was, but it was great to see him yesterday. Great energy, man. And then Yeski's a pretty, no nonsense, very decorated pitching coach. Was pitch coach on those great Oregon State teams under Pat Casey. and then most recently was at A&M for the last 2 years. He went from Oregon State to Arizona with Jay Johnson, and then the last 2 years was at A&M, and now is at LSU. So, all right, y'all fire away if you got questions. Ben Boudreaux, good morning. Waiting on, I guess it's the bus. All right, man. Wait, are the buses running? I heard there was like issues with the buses. Jason Lostness, remember vitamin C is really Spanish for vitamin yes. Craig Duke, Jim Arsenault, Bubba Smith, good morning, y'all. Good morning. Ben, man, Winston is trash, huh? That rookie can ball, though, huh? He looks good. I think Winston's trash, though. Jameis is really good in the first half. Carson Stevenson, good morning. Craig, I watched some highlights from games in 2012-13. We had some talent on those teams. Offensive game plan, oof. One thing is certain, though, we own Johnny Football. Yeah, man. I mean, forget that we went a decade of LSU football without really watching them complete forward passes, which is weird to say, but consistently in the triple digits nationally in passing offense, but still winning games. Incredibly. Hunter Eilers, do you think we get Chris Kirk on the call week 1? I think they've already doled out those assignments. Let's see. Let me. I think they've already announced, like, assigned. I'm sure they've already assigned broadcast crews for those games. I don't know. Jerry DeLucky, good morning. Jim Arsenault can't stand preseason. Let's play some real football. Okay, then don't watch. Still football on TV. Quentin Breakbill, good morning. Chris Fowler was on my plane coming home from NYC. Really nice guy. Okay, flying to where? Where was Chris going? Let's see. Brooke Bordeaux, good morning. Shelby Kelly, Jeff Hawk, good morning, y'all. Good morning. Trivia Carter, good morning. Zach Swan, morning Scone, up all night with the new baby. Tired house this morning. God bless, man. Get some sleep when you can. Joey Vincent, good morning. Trivia. I've been in the hospital since 9 o'clock last night. Keep my wife in your prayers. Oh, no. Trivia. Like, I don't want to pry, Trivia, but is everything okay? I mean, you can't just randomly post that you've been in the hospital since 9 o'clock last night. Of course, we'll keep your family in our prayers, but could you at least just let us know if everything is, like, okay or going to be okay? Or just message me privately if you'd prefer. But yes, absolutely will do. Josh Blackman, good morning. What is your biggest takeaway from the baseball coaches conference yesterday? So, and candidly, I had a chance to interview Jay Johnson before the press conference. He's going to be on an upcoming episode of Rosters to Riches. So Pixley and I had a chance to talk to Jay for about an hour before the press conference. Biggest takeaways. So I didn't realize. So they created the position for Terry Rooney. Jay told us, and Terry talked about it as well, that Jay's been trying to get Terry Rooney on staff, and Terry's been trying to get on Jay's staff now for like 4 years. So they have been trying to make this work here and prior as well. Jay told us that LSU was actually near the bottom of the league in staff spending for baseball. Think about that. And so they created that position for Terry Rooney because other programs had more support staff members. So I thought that was really interesting. With all the success LSU's had and everything, that they were still lagging behind in support staff. So, Gavin Guidry is going to be a two-way guy. No surprise there. They shut him down this summer, as Jay said, because they wanted him to fill up his tank, is how he said it, to prepare himself to be a two-way guy, for the opportunity to be a two-way guy. He said, look, we recruited him here as an infielder and want to give him that opportunity, but he's one of the best relievers in the country. So that was interesting as well. Wendell Norman, Tim Go. Oh, and Jay also said that there are, like, nobody has a starting position locked down. Like, which was, I mean, obviously Tommy White's going to be your third baseman, but, and I mean, I think Jared Jones will be in the everyday lineup, probably as your first baseman. Josh Pearson will be somewhere in the outfield, but yeah, I assume Paxton Kling will be as well. But it was interesting get him to say that nobody has a starting spot locked up. I mean, like a year ago at this time, he would have said, you know, look, Dylan Cruz is going to be our center fielder and Jordan Thompson is going to be our shortstop. Like, he would have said that, you know, going into the season. Like, those two guys are locked in and everything else will figure out. Wendell Norman, Tim Gotra, Weston Weaver, Brad David, good morning. Zachary Hardy, good morning. The game last night was a surprisingly good game to watch for preseason, yeah. Larry Gardner, Reed Rule. Let's see, Brooks started college at LSU online after 17 years. Pretty sure I'm too old for this and then over my head. You got it, Brooke. What are you studying? I'm curious. After 17 years, good for you. It's never, look, Brooke, it is never too late. Now, I can understand being overwhelmed going back to school again. Like, school and I did not do, like, let me rephrase that. I made pretty good grades because I worked really hard, but I just didn't have, like, natural book smarts that made me, like, a great test taker or any of that stuff. You know, I think my cumulative GPA at Catholic for 4 years was like a 3.43 or something like that. But I worked hard. So school itself is the tough part, but man, at that forensic psychology. Okay, what do you want to do with forensic psychology? That's interesting. You want to do like work for the FBI or something like that, in some forensic lab or something? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, but good for you, Brooke. Good luck. We'll be pulling for you. Let us know how it's going. Spurge, good morning. Scott Fontenot, no update on Sage Ryan. Sorry if I missed AFR. I have not gotten an update on Sage. Rebecca Claire, good morning. Trivia, wife is doing better. She was admitted for observation. Okay. Glad she's doing better. Keep us posted, okay? Matt Plavidal, good morning. Thoughts on Terry Rooney being back? I watched the press conference. Very impressed with both coaches. Yeah, dude, Terry is such an energy guy, like such a positive energy guy. Always smiling, engaging to talk to. Like, I remember Jay told us, he was like, look, I mean, when Jay came here, he interviewed Terry, but he ended up hiring Dan Fitzgerald, if you remember. And Jay was like, man, like, I want to get Terry on staff. But like at the time, he felt like, because they were going to, and Terry's a pitching coach, like they were going to need help positionally and with different stuff. He's like, so what's the thing that we can do that's going to help us now? And he knew, like Jay even told us, like, look, within 1 or 2 years, Dan Fitzgerald's going to be head coach, which of course he was after 1 year. So, and then last year, hang on 1 second, sorry, Drew's backpack's beeping. 1 second, sorry. Anyway, then he thought about hiring him again last year, and it didn't work out, whatever. Anyway, but he talked about like how impressive Terry was. How he was just determined to get him on staff, and how Terry kept blowing him up on text, like trying to get back here. So, but you can understand, man, like from a recruit, and so Terry's role is an off-field role. He's going to be an director of operations and recruiting, something like that. You know, how they basically create the role. So he's just another recruiter. And the way they've structured it is Terry will be one of the coaches that will recruit off campus in place of Mark Wanaka. So Wanaka's still on staff, but Rooney will be one of the designated coaches that can go recruit off campus. So yeah, I mean, when you put Terry, Rooney, and Jay together with their recruiting prowess, that's going to be really impressive for LSU baseball for sure. Damon Gilmore, Peter Fenner, good morning. CSI, yeah. Reed Rule. If Shores or Newt can't pitch this year, would they still be a draft risk? Shores, yes. Newt, it's tougher to say because we didn't see Newt throw a pitch last year. Now, Jay did update Jaden Newt and said he's progressing well, and I'm sure they'll be cautious with him, but I expect Jaden Newt's going to pitch this year. Shores, I think. Actually, hold on. I don't know that Chase Shores. Excuse me. Yeah, Shores is not draft eligible in 2024. So he has to come back for his junior season. So even if you don't get Shores in 2024, he'll be back and will pitch in 2025. So he'll have that full junior season at LSU to be out. So Shores is here for 3 years. Unlike Grant Taylor. Grant Taylor is the opposite. Like Grant, because of the date for the birthday for the cutoff, Grant Taylor was a draft eligible sophomore, so he got $1.7 million and signed. You can hardly blame him, right? He didn't throw a pitch and got $1.7 million. Okay, thanks, trivia. Rex, what's your thoughts on Jake Haener after a small sample, hidden gem or Jag? Hey Dad, good morning. So understand you're asking me the question about Jake Haener after seeing him in a super small sample size, like 2 preseason games. So I'm not going to make a wide-ranging decision or opinion on Jake Haener based on a couple of preseason games. What I have seen in the preseason games is I wish he was a little more accurate. There was a ball he threw on Sunday. It was a beautiful play where he kind of stepped up and moved in the pocket. There was a receiver moving to his left, and he threw it. I think it was it Shaq Davis? Might have been A.T. Perry. Anyway, and he just threw it behind him. And just decision-making and accuracy are the 2 most important things in the NFL. Like, it doesn't matter if you can throw a ball 80 yards in the air. Look at Jamarcus Russell. Look at all the great arm talents. It just, you've got to be able to, it's decision-making and accuracy. Can you make the correct read and then accurately deliver the football? So, just another guy, got it. JAG, just another guy, got it. I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo him just because of his size. I think, given that we saw, Drew Brees is obviously the poster child for that, but you could say, well, Drew's an outlier. And in part, that's true, but then look at Jalen Hurts, who, if he didn't get hurt at the end of the year, probably wins the MVP. Bryce Young was just the first overall pick. I guess we've seen quarterbacks have success without being your prototypical 6'4" strong arm guy. So I think that's less of a concern for me. I understand why the lack of that prototypical size would bump him down, but Um, you know, I'm intrigued by Jake Haener, and they seem to like him a lot, and he's had a really good camp. So, I mean, he'll make the roster, and we'll see. Zach Swan, what's the current cornerback depth chart? Sage went from safety to cornerback, but now is hurt. Harris has off-field issues. Well, Harris is back, and again, like we haven't seen a depth chart, but I'll tell you that based on everything we've seen, my guess is your starters against Florida State are going to be Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut. Anything other than those two on the boundary would really surprise me. I think those two are going to be your starters: Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut. Your next two are LaTerrence Welch and Ashton Stamps. And Welch is a sophomore, who's mostly a special team guy last year. And Stamps is a true freshman who was, a 3-star, one of the lowest rated guys in your class. But he's put on good weight. He comes from a football powerhouse in Rummel, and he's well coached. And, and has made that transition pretty smoothly. So, I like Alexander and Chestnut. I think you've got two guys there who have played a ton of football and are good college football players. I'll say it again, it's not Patrick Peterson and Morris Claiborne. It's not Derek Stingley and Christian Fulton. But you got guys who have played a ton of college football and are plenty good enough to help you win. My real question is, what's after them? If one of them turns an ankle and has to come out of the game, what do you do? That's a big problem. All right, y'all. YouTube, smash that like button if you would. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Got a few minutes left. Okay, got it, Jerry. Thanks. Chris Fowler was on Jerry's flight from New York, but they had a layover in Atlanta. I was like, why was he coming here? Kelly Gross, good morning. Grantland Herald, need your help, Matt, settling a heated debate. I propose that Sachin Tendulkar is the greatest cricketer of all time. Dan Bradman is a bum. Please assist. Yeah, I'm no help to you. I'm assuming you're joking. Bobby Muse, Jason Horn, Peter Adams. You said poo-poo. Yep. You're a dad for sure. Yes. No, it's not like poo-poo. It's the phrase in saying I don't mean to poo-poo an argument. Yes. Maybe you do start using that phrase when you're a dad. Maybe so. Alas. Josh DeVilliers, Matt, do you think if Jackson seems to be unstoppable, the coaching staff would feel obligated to play him? I guess you mean Caleb Jackson, the running back. Yeah. I mean, and by the way, that's Frank Wilson is I know this is how it's been. Frank has autonomy to put whoever in the game he wants. So how that running back rotation goes is going to be Frank. And Frank's old adage is the depth chart is written in sand. He says that all the time. So at any given point, if they feel like someone has a hot hand or someone's running better, I think they'll put that guy in the game. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely think if they go play Florida State and Caleb Jackson gets the third offensive series and he has 4 carries for 47 yards on the series, then they're going to keep feeding him. Absolutely, I do. Why wouldn't you? All right, a couple more. Tavanka De Silva, good morning. Barry Joslin, Donovan Adams. Who do you think starts opening night at LSU for LSU at running back? Josh Williams. I think Josh Williams will take the first carry. Reed Rule, Scone, you think the Saints keep all 3 quarterbacks? They have to. Because if you cut Jake Haener and someone signs him to their active roster, then you lose a 4th-round pick. So they have to keep him on the active roster. Unless if they put him on IR. But if you put him on IR, then you don't have the benefit of having him practice and improve this year. So yes, I do think they will keep him. Jonah Hawk, good morning. Let's see. Eagles have Mariota. JDN44, morning, Matt. Have you talked about, you may have talked about this already, what's going to happen to Jimmy Graham? Yeah, look, I think Jimmy Graham was on the roster bubble to begin with. I don't think he was guaranteed a roster spot. This further complicates that. Now, if it's a medical condition, that complicates it for different reasons. If he was being a knucklehead, took something and was acting strange and got arrested, then that's even further. But I think if you're going to keep a third quarterback, and you have the depth you do at running back and at receiver, you have to make some tough decisions. And I don't know that you could justify keeping a fourth tight end. Like that's a tough call. So I'd say I don't think Jimmy Graham makes the team. And I wasn't sure about that before this incident. Brian Williams, Herbstreit and Fowler were on the call for Florida State, not Joe Tessitore. He's my new Gary Danielson. Sorry, that's the way I feel about him after last season. Joe Tessitore is a heck of a nice guy. I like Joe Tessitore a lot. And Joe Tessitore is a great boxing announcer. Not a good one, a great boxing announcer. But Joe Tessitore, for me, is one of the worst listens when it comes to football. He is far too dramatic and over the top. He's not my favorite at all. Far, far down the list, actually, for football. Solar Flares, good morning. Antron Hemingway, good morning. Oh, y'all, it is 8. I got to go. Okay. Let's see. All right, I think we are done. Thanks so much for watching. As always, y'all shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing. You need an orthopedist? Go to Brock. You need a roof? Holler at Hudco. Hudco's pinned in the chat. And, of course, Restored Motions and ProCharge EV. Y'all have an awesome day. Will's LSU Dailies Live, AFR3. Peace.